This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I wanted to do a quick little follow-up video. I don't know if you might not have seen the original video which was what are Boomer guitars, because someone on my Instagram had asked if I ever play any guitars that are not Boomer guitars, and I thought to myself, what does that mean? And I think a bunch of people in the comments thought, what does that mean, and why are you using that as a term? I think this sort of attitude seems to in some ways stem back to our boy Jim Henson's son, and I think the thing that people take exception to is that it seems like quite a dismissive attitude of some of what has come before. And I think it was probably said in jest in the first place, the Tim Henson or Jim Henson's son part. But the term boomer, I think it can be annoying. I've been called a boomer before or since, and it's like I'm 33 guy. I'm not sure that I fall into the category. But anyway, I might be an old boy now. I'm not sure. So I wanted to just think about, since that video, I bought this Ibanez AZ secondhand. I think this falls into the category of a non-boomer guitar because it has a compound radius, stainless steel frets, which is one of the less boomerish things, that an innovation more recently that I think is definitely worth doing. Sir started doing it as well, right? To me, it just feels like basically you get a newer feeling fret for way longer. I doubt whether most people will notice if it makes a tonal difference or not. Let me know if you think you can tell. Goto 2-point trem, which is possibly a little bit on the side of not so modern, and a few different pickup switching options. I quite like the pickups in these now. I think it makes loads more sense with an HSS option, SSH, that's right, isn't it? And lumen inlay dots, so you can see it in the dark, which is always useful, isn't it, when you're trying to sneak around a house. And yeah, I really love the AZ as a design. Lots of grease on that, and I think loads of other people too. This is super lightweight as well, so plays really well. I think sounds decent, has enough sort of harking back to that classic, somewhere between a Strat and RG, that I think most people of all ages could agree that the AZ is quite a pretty guitar. The only thing I don't love is the pearloid, which is a little bit 80s, isn't it? But yeah, that would be one of the non-boomer guitars, I guess, that I have. Even saying that, like, that is not an aggressively new design, is it? There's so much of that which clearly borrows from, first, the Stratocaster, and second, then from the sort of guitars that Ibanez and Sir started to build in the 80s and 90s that were kind of the super Strat type thing. So, you know, we can talk about it. Oh, the neck join's a little bit different as well because you've got a bit of a recess. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Does that count as non-boomer or not? And the other guitar that I think, whilst it looks pretty classic, is still a very modern design, I think is the Yamaha Revstar. Again, we got an interesting join here, a little bit of an improvement. It has quite a Les Paulish feel, sort of a 50s style neck. Stainless steel frets again. This is the Japanese one. I really like that they've harked back to the classic kind of Kluson style tuners. Non-locking though, which might be a thing that might put off some folks. And then this is obviously quite a vintage style bridge. So again, these elements and the sort of SG-ish double cutaway, I think might make some people look at them and go, well, that doesn't count. And then, you know, you probably have to then start thinking about, again, well, what are the definitions for this boomer stuff? This has some carbon fibre in the neck and in the body, so maybe that makes it more close to a Batmobile than a guitar. I really love the way that it sounds and feels to play. I've not played it for a little while, so I got it out again the other day and I thought, yeah, that is great. It's got really modern style chambering and so feels quite light in the hands versus the older Revstar styles. And has one of my favourite players, Matteo Mancuso, plays a Revstar. He seems to play a production model now, almost exclusively live. And Chris Buck, when me and Jake went to see him in Exeter, he was playing one of these as well. I think he has a custom shop gold one. And yeah, two players that are very different, except for they both use their fingers a lot. One's more shreddy and one's more kind of bluesy, feely. But two great young players that are playing Revstars. I think the Jeff from the Smashing Pumpkins plays one. I think Ed O'Brien has a couple of these because last time I was at Monty's, he'd brought them in to have a pickup change. But I think a great modern design which looks pretty classic, you know, binding, double cutaway, all of that stuff, but has some modern features. I don't love the push-pull stuff. And another point I might make, I'd really like to see a Revstar with some single coils in it, to be honest, because I really like the vibe. I think they look cool. Probably forgotten of some Revstar players. But I guess the real point is that none of these things are particularly that far from the things that came before. I think guitarists in general are a little bit, unless it's a Strandberg, resistant to things that are crazy different to the norm. I don't know if you could count a PRS as a non-boomer guitar. I think they had their heyday or started to come into big use in the 80s, right? The PRS DGT, a little bit of a newer model, and the SE in particular, a very new model. But of course, some very classic appointments, some very classic styling. But I think a great guitar, modern guitar, and I think, again, that might count as something that might be non-boomerish, even though it has a set neck and quite an old school sort of set neck design. I think that's a great little guitar. It's not a Strat, it's not a Les Paul, it's not an SG, it's not a boomer guitar. What is a boomer guitar? I still haven't figured it out. Maybe a non-boomer guitar specifically might be something like a Strandberg, something with an Evertune bridge, something with Fishman Fluence pickups, something with True Temperament frets, maybe, something like that. I've never played anything quite like that. I know Alan Holdsworth, though, was playing headless guitars way back when, and I guess he's not really a boomer, is he, because he was an alien. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know some designs that you can think of that might be worth checking out in this kind of realm. Things that aren't super, super classic based, that are a little bit pushing the envelope. Maybe not too much, but a little bit. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. I guess this Seth Backus baritone as well. I think this does a beautiful job of sort of skating that line where it's kind of a baritone design, got some classic styling, but a new body shape, new neck join, and yeah, I think that kind of looks and feels the part. Even though, again, that's a nitro finish guitar, telly styling. So, I don't know, maybe the best modern designs still have to retain elements of the classics, otherwise who's going to buy them? Not me.